Good morning, children. Welcome back. In today's session, we are going to learn about the Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdoms, that is, Class 7, Term 2, First Lesson in History, Part 4. Come, children, let us enjoy the lesson. Children, before going into today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned in the last three. We learned about the foundation of Vijayanagar Empire. Vijayanagara, the city of victory, was established in southern Karnataka by two brothers named Harihara and Bukka. After Devaraya II, the Vijayanagar Empire went through a crisis, and the commander of the Vijayanagar army, Saluva Narasimha, declared himself as the emperor after murdering the last ruler of the Sangama dynasty, Viduprakasha Raya II. Saluva dynasty, founded by Saluva Narasimha, came to an end with his death when Narasa Naika, his able general, seized power and ushered in the Tuluva dynasty. Krishna Devaraya was most illustrious ruler of the Tuluva dynasty. He built huge irrigation tanks and reservoirs for harvesting rainwater. He also built the famous temples of Krishna Swami, Hazara Ramaswamy and Vithala Swami in the capital of Hampi. He distributed the wealth he gained in wars to all major temples of South India for the purpose of constructing temple gateways or Gopura called Raya Gopuram in his honor. He recruited a large army and built many strong forts. He was a great patron of art and literature. 8 eminent luminaries in literature known as the Ashtadigvajas adorned his court, with Alasani Peddanna was the greatest of them all. An important figure of that time was the Tenali Ramakrishna. Raya was succeeded by his younger brother Achyuta Raya. After the reign of Achyuta Raya, his successor Venkata I, Sadasiva Raya, a minor, ascended the throne. His regent Rama Raya was the able general of the kingdom, and he continued as a de facto ruler. Meantime, the sultans of Deccan kingdom succeeded in forming a league to fight the Vijayanagar Empire. The combined forces of the armies met at Talikota in 1565, and in the ensuing battle, that is the Battle of Talikota, Vijayanagar was defeated. There was terrible human slaughter and pillaging the capital city of Hampi. All buildings, palaces, temples were destroyed. Beautiful carvings and sculptures were desecrated. Ramaraya was killed on the battlefield, and his brother Tirumala Devaraya managed to escape with the king Sadasivaraya. Tirumala Devaraya moved to Chandragiri carrying all the treasures and wealth that he could salvage, and he began the rule of the Aravida dynasty. It had its capital at Penukonda. Internal dissensions and intrigues of the sultans of Bijapur and Golconda led to the final collapse of the empire about 1646. The Vijayanagar administration was divided into mandalams or provinces, nadas, stalas and gramas. Each province administered by a governor called Mandaleshwara, with the lowest administration was a village. Each village had a Grama Sabha with Gowda, the village headman. The army was very strong, consisted of infantry, cavalry and elephant corps. It was one of the most feared armies in India at that time. It was a policy of its rulers to encourage agriculture in different parts of the empire. They had a wise irrigation policies. There were huge tanks built, canals constructed, and the city was well stocked with a variety of agricultural goods. Cottage industries also thrived, with the important ones being the textile, mining and metallurgy. There were separate guild for each of the groups of tradesmen and craftsmen. Under the patronage of Vijayanagar rulers, religious as well as secular books were written in different languages like Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada and Tamil. Krishna Devaraya himself wrote Amukta Malyada and Jambavadi Kalyanam. Tenali Ramakrishna authored Panduranga Mahatmyam. The temple building activity of the Vijayanagar rulers produced a new style called the Vijayanagara style, with the prominence of pillars and piles in large numbers. The temples also had marriage halls with elaborately carved pillars. It also had structures called mandapams, that is open pavilions with raised platforms, meant for seating the deity on special occasions. Alauddin Hasan ruled for 11 years. He commanded an army solely responsible for its administration and for the collection of revenue. Muhammad Shah once succeeded Bahman Shah. He waged 2 wars with Vijayanagar but couldn't gain from it. But his attack on Warangal earned him a large property and wealth, including his treasured turquoise throne, which thereafter became the throne of the Bahmani kings. Mujahid, the son of Muhammad Shah, ascended the throne, but he was assassinated, and the nephew of the conspirator Daud, the uncle of Muhammad, was enthroned as Muhammad II. Muhammad II's reign was peaceful. The noteworthy ruler after 8.5 decades was Muhammad III. He reigned for 19 years. Most of these years, the lieutenant of the kingdom was Mahmud Gawan, the most notable personality of the time. Muhammad Gawan was a Persian by birth. He was well versed in Islamic theory, Persian, and mathematics. He himself was a poet and a prose writer. He curtailed the powers of provincial chiefs who were Deccanis. So, the already existing rivalry among the nobles such as Deccanis and Pardesis, that is foreigners, further intensified and conflicts broke out. He became a victim of this tussle of power, and the Deccani nobles grew jealous of his success and considered him an obstacle to their rise. They manipulated by forging a letter to implicate Gawan was in a conspiracy against the Sultan. The Sultan, who himself was not happy with Gawan's dominance, ordered his execution. Children, in this session, we will discuss about the decline of the Bahmani kingdom and the contribution of Bahmani sultans. Children, Gawan's execution prompted several of the foreign nobles who were considered the backbone of the state to leave for their provinces. So they started returning back to their provinces. After Sultan Muhammad's third's death, Mahmud or Shihabuddin Mahmud reigned as a sultan until his death in 1518. His long rule is noted for the beginning of the process of disintegration. We know, children, Gawan was the prime minister, chief of the lieutenant in the country, and he was an able leader, but he was executed, and after his execution there was nobody to take care of the country. So what happened after Sultan Muhammad III's death? Mahmud or Shihabuddin Mahmud reigned as a sultan, but it started the process of disintegration. It was starting the decline of the Bahmani kingdom. Children, there were many reasons which led to the breakup of the Bahmani kingdom. Religious intolerance, constant wars with neighbors, the pleasure-seeking style of the rulers, and the mutual quarrels between the Deccanis and the Irani groups were the main causes. Moreover, the later Bahmani rulers were weak and incompetent. After the death of Gawan, the Bahmani kingdom crumbled as there was no competent ministers. As a result, it broke into 5 independent states of Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Berar, and Bidar, which were later conquered by the Mughals. After the death of Mahmud or Shihabuddin Mahmud, 4 of his successors on the throne were kings only in name. And during this period, the Sultanate gradually broke up into 5 independent Deccan kingdoms: Bidar, Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Berar, and Golconda. In the map, you can see the divisions of the 5 independent Deccan kingdoms. Let us learn about the contribution of Bahmani sultans to architecture. The contribution of the Bahmani kings is evident in the Gulbarga. Gulbarga was the capital of the Bahmani kingdom with their headquarters at the Gulbarga fort. You can find the Islamic monuments such as the mosques, palaces, tombs, and other structures in the Gulbarga fort. The Jama Masjid is a unique structure built in the Persian architecture style, which was built to commemorate the establishment of the dynastic rule over the Bahmani kingdom at Gulbarga. The longest cannon is located in Gulbarga fort. installed during the reign of the Bahmani Empire in the 14th century, made by the Turkish. It is made up of alloy. The cannon is 23 feet long. The archaeological excavations done in the site of the kingdom has helped to unearth palaces, halls of public audience, ambassadors' residences, arches, domes, walls and citadels. So all these things unearthed, like the palaces, the halls of public audience, ambassadors' residences, arches, domes, walls and citadels, are excavated from the kingdom. These finds are illustrative of their architectural skill. It shows what fine architecture skills they had during that time. Now we will see the contributions of the Bahmani sultans to education. Children, the founder of the Bahmani kingdom, Alauddin Hasan Shah, was educated at Multan. Yes, Multan in Punjab province of Pakistan is one of the oldest cities in South Asia. It is famous for its Sufi shrines. At the initiative of the Zabar Khan, a general of the Alauddin Khalji. So it was the initiative of Zabar Khan, who was a general of Alauddin Khalji, that the Alauddin Hasan Shah got his education at Multan. On his accession, that is when he was crowned, he took special care in founding a school to educate his sons. So he was very interested. As he was interested in education, he made sure that his children, his son also were educated. His son, Mahumad I, was a patron of learning. He opened institutions for the purpose of educating the children of noble families in the art of soldiery. So he wanted to train the people of the noble families, children from the noble families, the art of soldiery. So they wanted to be good warriors. So he opened up institutions to make them skilled in soldiery. The 8th Sultan of Bahmani, Sultan Firoz, was a linguist and a poet. What you see on the picture is the firman of the Firoz Shah of the Bahmani Sultanate. A firman is an order from the ruler. Children, later his successors founded schools in Gulbarga, Bidar, Daulatbad and Kandahar. So all these places, his successors of the 8th Bahmani king founded schools. Which all places were there? It was Gulbarga, Bidar, Daulatbad and Kandahar. Boarding and lodging at the king's expenses were provided in these schools. The meaning of boarding and lodging, B-O-A-R-D-I-N-G, boarding, and lodging, L-O-D-G-I-N-G, lodging, is you are provided with food and a place to sleep. So the expenses was bared by the king. Mahmud Gawan's world famous Madrasa in Bidar, with a large library containing a collection of 3,000 manuscripts, is illustrative of the importance given to scholarship and education by Gawan. Gawan opened up a university or madrasa in Bidar, and it claimed to having a collection of 3,000 manuscripts. Manuscripts are originals in writing. So it shows how importance or what importance was given by the rulers or by the Bahmani sultans, especially the prime minister of them was Gawan, and he had given so much of importance to education. Children, what you see on the picture is the madrasa of Mahmud Gawan or Madrasa-e Mahmud Gawan. It is an ancient madrasa in Bidar. It is Islamic college. It was founded by the Prime Minister of the Bahmani Empire in the late 15th century. Gawan came to Delhi as a Persian trader in exile, and this is the testimony of the scholarly genius of Mahumad Gawan. It is said that he constructed the madrasa with his own money, and it was like a residential university which was built and maintained like the Madrasa of Khurasan. The building claims lecture halls, laboratory, mosque, students' hostel, dining room, quarters for teaching facility. This religious seminary, which also taught science and maths, was run by a carefully chosen faculty which comprised Islamic scholars, scientists, philosophers, and Arabic experts. It is recorded that free boarding, lodging, and education to over 500 students from the world over was provided at any given time. There were around 3,000 volumes of books in the library. Let us have the summary of the lesson, children. The foundation of Vijayanagar kingdom by two brothers, Harihara and Bukka, and its consolidation by their successors, notably Devaraya II, are described. The most illustrious ruler, Krishnadevaraya's career and achievements are highlighted. Defeat of Vijayanagar at the hands of combined forces of Deccan Sultanate is narrated. Vijayanagar's system of governance and economy are explored. We also learned about the contributions of Vijayanagar to literature, art and architecture. The establishment of Bahmani kingdom by Alauddin Hasan Shah, Bahman Shah, and its consolidation by his able successor Mahumad I are detailed. The administrative system introduced by Bahman Shah and measures adopted by Mahumad I and later by the minister Mahmud Gawan during the kingship of Muhammad III are analyzed. Bahmani king's contributions to architecture and education are also examined. Now let us go through the glossary. Conflict, C-O-N-F-L-I-C-T, conflict is a serious disagreement. Second one, ascending, A-S-C-E-N-D-I-N-G, ascending, that is leading upwards, leading upwards. Subsequently, S-U-B-S-E-Q-U-E-N-T-L-Y, subsequently, after a particular thing. Number 4, adorned, A-D-O-R-N-E-D, adorned is decorated, decorated. Pillaging, P-I-L-L-A-G-I-N-G, pillaging is robbing, using violence, especially in wartime. Number 6, intrigue, I-N-T-R-I-G-U-E, intrigue is conspire or plot. Primogeniture, primogeniture, P-R-I-M-O-G-E-N-I-T-U-R-E, primogeniture is a right of succession belonging to the first child. Number 8, splendor, S-P-L-E-N-D-O-U-R, splendor is magnificent, magnificent. Number 9, flourishing, F-L-O-U-R-I-S-H-I-N-G, flourishing is growing successfully, flourishing, growing successfully. Prominence, P-R-O-M-I-N-E-N-C-E, prominence, the state of being important, the state of being important. Number 11, indemnity, indemnity, I-N-D-E-M-N-I-T-Y, indemnity is a guarantee or a surety, indemnity, guarantee or surety. Before winding up, let us have a recap of what we learned in this session, children. In this session, we discussed about the decline of the Bahmani kingdom. After the death of Gawan, it prompted several of the foreign nobles to considered the backbone of the state to leave for their provinces. After Sultan Muhammad III's death, Mahmud or Shihabuddin Mahmud reigned as a sultan until his death in 1518, and his long rule is noted for the beginning of the process of disintegration of the Bahmani Empire. After him, 4 of his successors on the throne were the kings only in name, and during this period, the Sultanate gradually broke down into 5 independent Deccan kingdoms, namely Bidar, Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Berar and Golconda. We also learned about the contribution of the Bahmani Sultan to architecture. The contribution of Bahmani kings is evident in Gulbarga. The excavation done in the site helped to unearth the palaces, halls of public audience, ambassadors' residences, arches, domes, walls and citadels. Children's citadel is a fortress, one on high ground above a city, that is a citadel. We also learned about the contribution of the Bahmani sultans to education. The founder of Bahmani kingdom, Alauddin Hasan Shah, was educated himself at Multan, which was a Sufi center. And on his accession, he took special care in founding a school to educate his sons. Muhammad I was a great patron of learning. He had opened institutions to train children of noble families in soldiery. The successors of the Bahmani sultans founded schools in Gulbarga, Bidar, Daulatbad and Kandahar. Boarding and lodging at the king's expenses were provided in these schools. Mahmud Gawan's world-famous Madrasa, accommodating around 500 children from various parts of the world, was at the Bidar with a large library containing a collection of 3,000 manuscripts. And it was illustrative of the importance given to the scholarship and education by Gawan. So with that, we wind up today's session, my dear children. In the next session, we will learn the book bag question and answers. That is the evaluation part. Worksheet time. A small worksheet for you. Worksheet number 4. True or false? There were 18 monarchs of the Bahmani dynasty. There were 18 monarchs of the Bahmani dynasty. Roman number 2. Answer in 1 or 2 sentences. Name the 5 independent kingdoms of the Deccan Sultanate. Name the 5 independent kingdoms of the Deccan Sultanate. Write the educational reforms of Alauddin Hasan Shah. Write about the educational reforms of Alauddin Hasan Shah. That's all for today's session, my dear children. Thank you for watching my class. For more videos and solutions, please visit and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you. Stay blessed.